Hello everybody, this is Chromosco018, and I just recorded the OVA, the first OVA for the My Hero Academia. I should have done those when I was actually, doing My Hero Academia, but I didn't think about it. And essentially this one took place like right after Season 1, like right after the attack on the USJ, like a month after. And essentially they were going to be doing the training exercises that they were originally going to do when they first went there, and then the villains attacked and ruined it. And I hate that it was in Japanese. Why couldn't they have made an English version? Because it would have been awesome. But yeah, it showed some different situations, like they having to rescue some civilians who are possibly unconscious or have injured legs or whatever. And it was good to see how they used some of the other characters, like Bakugo, for example. He wanted to originally, blow up part of the mountain in order for them to just slide down to get to where they were going to get to them, but I knew that was probably not smart, because if he did that, the falling rock debris from that mountain that was left, or that they took off, could possibly fall down and hurt the injured down there. And everybody else knew that as well, because they didn't let him do it. Instead, they had Yaoyorozu use a pulley system, and Tokoyami going down to get everybody. And I loved how they used Dark Shadow with this, because you never really get to see him use that very often. And it actually has a personality, apparently, from what I saw. Because, yeah, and Midoriya actually said it's not a tool. It can essentially help you all the time. It's essentially amazing. It's like a separate person that's attached to you on the inside and cannot get out. Completely. And yeah. It kind of did a slight continuity thing where once Dark Shadow hit the light, it disappeared. Or maybe it hit the limit on how far it could go. I don't know. Whichever it was, because if it was the light thing, then that doesn't make sense, since Tokoyami was able to use Dark Shadow in direct sunlight. It just wasn't as strong. But it didn't disappear. So, yeah. But if it hit the limit on how far it could go before it disappeared back into Tokoyami, then that makes sense, because that thing was really high. From the bottom. Essentially, there was a high that was very far from the bottom. They had to go up, so, yeah. Anyway, essentially some of the others made comments on how Bakugo is not using his quirk, and 13 mentions that essentially in modern day, there will be times where a person with a good quirk like that will not be able to use it to save somebody, because it could essentially kill the person. Like Bakugo's quirk, for example, he could essentially kill somebody if he's not careful with his explosions. So he's not using his quirk at all, which shows that he actually is very smart and strategic and knows when to use his quirk and when not to use his quirk. Yes, he's kind of impulsive when it comes to fighting, like later on in the episode, and many other points in the show, but he also does know when to use his quirk and when not to use it. So he's not completely impulsive. Anyway, the next one is essentially rescuing someone who's got, I think, multiple broken bones or something. And that's Sue. And they were going to use the pulley system again, but Uraraka beat them to it with her gravity quirk. And yeah, some of the other characters didn't get used, and they actually commented on this, that they didn't get used, and that was unfair, and I kind of agree. But I didn't think that was the only things they were going to be doing that day, because just doing rescues in the mountains is not the only place that can happen with rescues. And I was right, and they had to do rescues in the city, like in a bunch of wrecked buildings and stuff. And some of them, you couldn't talk, some of them could. And there was 4 people who had to search. Bakugo, Uraraka, Deku, and Mineta. And Mineta's being pervy. And Deku comments on what he's saying and says, you're forbidden to carry them, essentially, because he's one of the search people, so he would have to carry some of the people who got hurt, in a way. But, as we all know, probably not a smart idea, especially with the girls. And Midoriya and Mineta actually come up with a good way to get Ojiro out of a building. by sticking Somina's balls on his head to a pole and then putting some pieces on there to make like a makeshift stairs or a makeshift ladder or something for him to get out. And it looked like it worked. And yeah, while all this is going on, Todoroki's sitting in one of the wrecked buildings, and his mind starts to wander to how his childhood was, and it wasn't good, obviously. And we are caught off guard by a freaking other person talking to him, and it appears to be a villain that attacks him. And we find out later when Uraraka is helping one of the other students. Ito comes running up, even though he's supposed to be one of the injured, and he's actually being chased by the villain that has Todoroki unconscious. And while they're fighting him, Ojiro tries to go get help from the teachers, and when they didn't automatically respond and go help, like they would in an actual situation like that, it got me thinking, why were they doing that? Was this part of the test? I thought it was part of the test, because, you know, if it actually was another villain popping up that wasn't supposed to be there, Aizawa would have come up and gone to help fight, and so would have 13, even though they're still injured. Which made me think that was part of the test. And while they're fighting, I'm like, who is that person? And I realize it has to be All Might because he hasn't shown up, even though he was supposed to help them during the training exercises. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, wait, is that All Might? And I was like, oh dear God, please don't let me. If that was All Might, I'm going to be laughing. And it actually was. But the others actually managed to take him down and get him stuck to a bunch of Mineta's balls on a broken up piece of rubble, which essentially captured him. And even though Bakugo didn't know of Midoriya's plan to do this, he still did it and didn't complain about it. Though obviously we know that Bakugo is, well, you guys know how he is. Anyway, when everybody found out that it was All Might doing this, some of the guys started beating up on him. Yeah, essentially telling him that was not cool, that you should have done it, essentially. And Midoriya is essentially just relieved that it was not, you know, an actual villain that they were having to take down. And I do not blame him, because an actual villain would have been even worse, because, yeah, that villain wouldn't have hesitated to kill them. Anyway, yeah, essentially the training exercises went well, despite this little surprise. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I certainly did, despite the Japanese subtitles. And I'm glad they're showing Bakugo in a slightly more, not relatable, but in a better light, I guess you could say. Despite the fact that he's still obviously, you know, as in character as he is normally in this. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.